Tiger fans, let's get you ready for a big early morning matchup against Vanderbilt. Let's go. What's going on, Tiger fans? Thanks for joining me. Here we are on another Friday night. God, it's beautiful. Just great Louisiana football all around. Sponsored by Revel Asphalt Services. Thank you to Millard. Just the best in the business. Just you can ask them for anything. They're going to make your accommodations work. Thanks to Millard again. Big time, big time. Thank you. Yeah, so no, I mean, we've got a lot to catch up on, but in the sense, I mean, let's just start off with the fact that the Tigers are being very disrespected. That line hasn't moved much. I know on Fanatics it's -2 Vanderbilt. I know on FanDuel it's -1.5. So Vanderbilt is favored, and so I think credit to them. They deserve it. I mean, they've played a hell of a season so far. And, Clark Lee has really built a very nice program there, and what they're doing with the stadium expansion, and I mean, so there's a lot of opportunity there. I mean, you're going to get a great education, obviously, but if they commit to football, look out. And so we'll see. But certainly this year they've got a really, really good team. But we'll get to Vanderbilt in a second. Obviously, the injury report on defense is not looking too great so far. Whit Weeks he's been questionable pretty much the whole week with a bruise in his knee. Was seen in a walking boot yesterday at practice. They've been practicing a little early these past 2 days just to acclimate to the 11 o'clock kickoff. Look, if we know Witt, he's going to go. He's going to give it a go, but we just have to be prepared. The Tigers, certainly they have options. They're not Witt Weeks, but West Weeks will still be there. Harold Perkins is still going to be there. This is a big game for Harold Perkins. The nation's going to be watching. Not a lot of great football on at 11 o'clock. So, I mean, what an opportunity for the Tigers to kick a little ass. So, yeah, but having Witt Weeks is not going to be ideal. But then you look at Devon Keys, you look at Tylen Singleton. The Tigers are not short for linebackers. I mean, just talented, physical at the point of attack. Not a lot of experience, but when they play fast, they play physical, and that's all you can really ask for. But a couple more questions here, in the injury report, particularly in the front seven. Bernard Gooden, he looks like he's doubtful. Bruised collarbone, I mean, that's tough. I mean, it looked like he really he struggled with that, and that cannot be comfortable. And so, he's a tough son of a bitch. So if he's going to play, if he can play, he's going to play. But so if he's doubtful, that means the injury's pretty serious. So we hope for the best for him coming back, because the Tigers need him. I mean, he's just very, very strong at the point of attack. What an addition out of South Florida. Brings a little swagger too. You can't overstate that. And so, just going to be a heavy rotation 3 ways, with Jacoby and Guillory, who's had a great six-year senior year. I mean, he's stuck around. I mean, he's just a big refrigerator out there. I mean, he's awesome. And so he's played great football so far. And then obviously you're going to lean very, very heavily on Dominic McKinley and Ahmad Bro, the 2 sophomore defensive tackles from Louisiana. This is their time to shine. You're going to get a little Walter Mathis too. He stood out of all the freshmen. So number 91 is going to get some looks. And then on the end, Jamari Butler, he's questionable too. So he's played very quietly, very nice football. Not a ton of stats in terms of, sacks or quarterback hurries, but, when you see number 12 in there, he's causing havoc. He's making plays that aren't showing up in the stat sheet. And so if for some reason he can't go, that's going to be tough. Dylan Carpenter, he stuck around at LSU for a few years. really, really nice. You liked it, number 97. He's going to give you good reps. And CJ Jackson, he looks like out of Atlanta. He looks like he's, something of an Arden Key almost kind of type. Certainly hasn't had the production of Arden Key, but you just see some similarities. And so the Tigers aren't short for depth. They're short on experience right now. Hopefully Jamari can give it a little go tomorrow. Good news is on offense, everything seems relatively healthy. Haven't heard anything about Nuss. That's a good thing. He was aggressive last week. He made some wow plays, and he made a couple of plays that made you scratch your head. That's Nussmeier. So I think I think that's a good thing. So Caden Durham, easily his best game so far. Really really hit the hole. And Harlan Berry, nice complementary football between the two of them. I hope that we see a little bit more of that on Saturday. I think they complement each other very, very well. Caden, a little more, physical at the point of attack. Harlan, a little more make you miss. And so, if you're a Saints fan or just an NFL fan, you're reminded of maybe a Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara kind of thing. And so I know that's a crazy comparison because you're talking about two of the all-time greats, but I see a little bit of that. And so if they can do that against Vanderbilt, a very, very good defense, I think the sky's the limit for the Tigers. I think the Tigers come out and really make a statement. Aaron Anderson, not on the injury report. That's great. He's a Nuss favorite, particularly in the slot. And, so you combine that with what you saw with Kyle Parker last week, Trey'Dez Green. I mean, he is the focal point. If you're not just throwing it to 14, you got a lot of problems. And so I think Joe Sloan, Brian Kelly, Garrett Nussmeier, they have to be ecstatic at the production and what number 14 Trey'Dez Green gave you last week. He's unstoppable. He's too fast for linebackers, and he's too big for defensive backs. And so, I think that moving forward, you have to think that, defenses are going to probably start double teaming him. And so who leaves one-on-one? Who does that leave one-on-one? There's somebody that's going to have a mismatch. That could be a Caden Durham or Harlan Berry. That could be an Aaron Anderson, Xavier Thomas, maybe a Nick Anderson on the outside. So, I mean, when you have a big guy, a big target who's just clearly a mismatch, it just changes the way the defense plays you. And so relatively healthy on offense. We're going to see what happens on defense. The front seven could take a little bit of a hit. The depth is going to be tested. And so this is the SEC. This is why you recruit at a high level, and I think the Tigers have done that. They've recruited at a very, very high level. And so I think, when you look at just some of the game, some of the matchup, obviously the first thing that we're looking for is we're looking to push the ball down the field. We've been saying that all year with the Tigers. Garrett Nussmeier, he's been hurt. He's had an ab strain. They called it a torso injury at the beginning. Haven't had a lot of transparency, a lot of, what facts are we getting? And so, here we are. We know it's been an ab strain. Garrett Nussmeier was able to meet with the media a little bit earlier this week, and he stressed really for the first time. He didn't say that necessarily that the ab strain was a physical problem. It was more of a mental problem. And so, when you have that gunslinger mentality like Nuss, and you're just really just winging it and just, you can get the football there, but you just have to trust your arm. If you can't trust your arm, you can't trust your core. That's a tough place to be as a quarterback. And so I think Tiger fans just would have appreciated more of it, transparency, just knowing, look, hey, he's not 100%. And I think everybody probably would have tampered their expectations a little bit. So look, here we are. It doesn't matter. Tigers are number 10, 5-1, everything in front of them. But yeah, so pushing the ball down the field, getting it to number 14, seeing what receiver can push, really stretch the defense. the defenses this year have just been playing way too close. Their safeties, basically 8 in the box, 3 defensive linemen at times, when you know that they're throwing it, and just playing basic defense. And so it's the Tigers' job to be a little more exotic, and just diversify what they're doing, because they have the talent, they have the playmakers, and it looks like the offensive line's coming together a little bit too. Getting a little health there, and Weston Davis, he hasn't had the greatest first half of the season, but like Brian Kelly said this week, we're sticking with him. And I agree. I mean, he's a big time talent, 5-star out of Texas. You don't give up on a guy like that. If he gets the right development, I mean, he's just only a true sophomore. If he gets the right development, the right experience, and the Tigers go places this year and even next, that's where you see a guy really explode into something, that the NFL is going to be very interested in. I have a feeling 75 is going to be making a little bit of money in the NFL one day. So we talked about pushing the football down the field. Now that kind of just correlates to running the football. Vanderbilt, the way they play offense, they're going to try to shorten the game, except when they try to make the little sneak play. But, particularly LSU needs to really run the football. Caden Durham, this is a big game for him. Ball control, set up the play action pass. LSU hasn't had any play action pass this year because they haven't had any running game, basically since last week. I mean, last week was really the only time they had a semblance of continuity in the running game. And so we're looking a little bit more for that. I think Cohen Eccles played really, really nice last week. He's I don't know if he's going to start or Paul Mabinga, but I've been talking about Carius Kern for years, it seems at this point. But, certainly I think Cohen Eccles really shined the other day. And so if they can start getting a little more push, that's just going to help tremendously with the play calling. It's going to make Nuss feel more comfortable, and it's going to open the play action pass, hopefully stretch the field, the deep ball, which we've all been looking for. And so, finally, what you have to do with Vanderbilt, and everybody has seen it because they've played so well, particularly the last 2 years, with their big upset against Alabama last year, the way they've played this year, they deserve to be favored in this game, just off if you're looking at it objectively. But from a talent perspective and from a potential perspective and what a projection perspective, LSU should win this game comfortably. But the thing with Vanderbilt is that they play almost an option kind of offense, modern day style. I mean, it's really cool to see. I mean, Diego has really just caught the world on fire in the SEC. Been so fun to watch. And so, but here we are in a sense that, you got that competitiveness as well. And so when they're talking about, defensive lineman for Vanderbilt this week was talking about a shutout, that, take it easy a little bit there. I could understand, we want to go out and dominate, or I can't wait for that victory cigar, but the shutout thing, I don't think that's a very smart thing to say. And, coming from Vanderbilt, you think that would be a little smarter, but, finally, I just think, I think the front seven could take a little bit of a hit, certainly with the bodies, but I think the talent that you still have is going to give you a tremendous advantage because LSU's just been playing dominant defensive football, and Blake Baker, he's got this all dialed up. He knows exactly what he wants to do. Diego Pavia has been just tremendous. Just the shovel passes, the triple option, just out of the shotgun, just a modern version. But like Brian Kelly said, you got to get them on first and second down. You got to keep it a third and long, because if you get it in third and short for them, that opens basically the whole playbook. They can do whatever they want at that point. And so you're at a huge disadvantage as a defense. Um, but like I said, I look for Harold Perkins to have a big game. I think he's going to take it personal that, everything that's been going on, just talking about Vandy being a favorite and first time in 77 years that they've been a favorite over LSU, and the first time in 77 games that they've been a favorite versus a top 10 matchup. So, you want to talk about quite a coincidence there. But I mean, there's just so much here. I mean, for 11 o'clock kickoff, you really couldn't ask for much more. So we're going to be here real quick. I mean, just a quick turnaround here in about 15 hours or so. And so, just final thoughts. I think LSU comes out. I think they have a chip on their shoulder. I think they get a very, very good victory going into a very big matchup against A&M next week, but we'll take it one day at a time. We got Vanderbilt tomorrow. They think they're going to win. I think LSU is going to win by at least 10 points. I don't know. I mean, think, like a 30-20 kind of game or, just something like that. I think LSU, I think they both score points, but LSU's defense is tremendous. They're going to keep it low scoring. And I think they get something on special teams too. And the offense does just enough, particularly pushing the ball down the field and, a pretty nice running game. I think that's coming together. And look, LSU is not going to be 95 Nebraska running the football, but if they can just keep enough to keep the defense honest, that's all you can ask for. I'm looking at like a 31-20 kind of game against Vanderbilt. So it's an 11 a.m. kickoff. I know that's early. So, definitely pour a very nice Bloody Mary. Make sure you put the green beans in there. And, certainly the spicy beans. Those are the best. So look, we're going to be here tomorrow after the game. We're going to have a post-game show for you. But just another recap. Whit Weeks, that could be a big loss. We're going to be looking out for that for sure early in the morning for any kind of updates, reports about, particularly when he goes out to stretch or get a little pregame warm up. That's really when you're going to know. But I think the Tigers, they've recruited well enough, certainly spent enough money enough that they have enough talent to hold it down in the front seven. Not having even talked about the secondary. That's just how good it's been. So I'll just leave it at that. But come look at Louisiana Boot Crew Media tomorrow after the game, probably around 3:30. Should have a couple special guests and we'll break it all down. Beautiful night in South Louisiana. Thanks to Justin, the Boot Crew, the whole production. Really check it out on especially Instagram. Let's get to 100K followers. We're almost there. But Pelican season almost starting. So definitely get over there. Saints, if you're into the Saints, it's just everything you want. Tons of pages, tons of followers. So let's keep it going. Thanks again to Revel Asphalt Services for doing this show. But for now, go Tigers. We'll talk to you tomorrow. All right. Thank you.